Do you have a favorite Kobe memory or Kobe story?
This is when I knew Kobe was a different monster, though.
They call timeout. Kobe looks at me. He's like, what, you want the motherfucker to have 50?
He looks over and he's like, now I'm one ahead of you guys.
Who does that?
Dirk calls me and goes, look, if you need to trade me for Kobe, I would make that deal in a heartbeat.
I mean, besides my son being born, that's like the best day of my life.
I gotta get my shit together because this dude right here is on a whole different level than even I'm on, and I'm supposed to be great.
And he leans forward and he said, Coach, I promise you I'll destroy him. So I got, holy shit.
So when I hear those stories about Kobe, and I hear them from so many people, I'm like, yo, was he really was some of it performance art?
People think those stories are like not real. Like those stories are real. Okay, let me share this story with you, Jay. We were in the Olympics, right? And this is when I knew Kobe was a different monster, though. You hear about it, but you really, if you don't see it, you really, really don't know. And so we get into a city, one of the cities very late, and immediately we all go to the gym. You know, all my guys, it's Melo, it's B, it's Brian, it's Kobe. Like we all go to the gym, we all get our work in. It's real late. And so after we get done getting our work in, me and my guys, we say, hey, like, let's meet for breakfast in the morning. Like, if you can't sleep, whoever first one wake up, hit us up. We're going to go eat. And so we do that. We probably get like 3 hours of sleep. You can't sleep much when you're traveling across the world, you know, like we were traveling. And we probably get like 3 hours of sleep. And we wake up, we go down to where the food is. And as we walking down, you know, slubbing with sleep in our eyes, Kobe Bryant is sitting there with ice on his knees already, right? So we walk up to Kobe, we like, Kobe, what's up? And he was like, yeah, man, I just finished a workout and I'm about to go do another one. And at that moment, I was like, wait, hold on. We just worked out about 3 hours ago. You know what I mean? And like you've done another workout and you're about to go do another one. That's when I was like, okay, I got to get my stuff together. I got to get my shit together because this dude right here is on a whole different level than even I'm on. And I'm supposed to be great, right? So that's the kind of person he was. And that's how he drove me. You know what I mean? Like just little stuff like that. I went back and said, okay, that means I got to work hard and I got to do more. So yeah, I just wanted to share that little anecdote.
That's great.
He's a beast, man.
That's great. I have a somewhat similar story, but in 07, when I got to do the training camp with you guys in Vegas, I got there on a Sunday. We were starting with practice on a Monday. So I get there Sunday afternoon. First thing I do is I hit up the Duke assistant coaches, Coach Collins, Coach Wojo, Coach Dawkins. I'm like, can y'all meet me at the gym? I just want to get some shots up. So I get to the gym, and Johnny Dawkins looks like he lost his dog. Like, I've never seen this guy look so just disheveled. I'm like, JD, what's going on, man? And he's like, man, fucking Kobe. This guy had me up at 6 a.m. this morning. He was in the gym for 3 hours. And he said he was doing the same move for 3 hours. It was like I'm pick and roll on the left side, jab, pull up right for 3 straight hours. The guy was just maniacal about his work. It's incredible.
It is, man. It is incredible. And that's not like people think those stories are like not real. Like those stories are real. Like I remember watching one game we were getting ready to play the Lakers, and I remember just I'm a Kobe fan. I'm watching him warm up, and he literally entire warm up. He did one shot. He was in the mid post. He just kept turning over the left shoulder over and over and over. So I go into the game like, okay, he about to turn over the left shoulder over and over, and I couldn't stop it. But I just watched him by himself. They just kept giving him the ball for the entire 15, 20, however long you're out there. He kept doing the same thing over and over and over, and I was just amazed that. And then once the game started, I still couldn't stop it. And I knew what he was about to do over and over and over again, you know? And that's a part of his greatness, man.
My Kobe story is we were in the player lounge. There was a couple of us, and we were playing spades. And he kind of came in, and we were drinking a little wine, playing some spades, just chilling. And he came in, sat down, poured himself a glass, and he was kind of like reading a paper. So this is 2008. So they had just lost to the Celtics in the finals, like tragically, if memory serves. And so he opens up the paper, and there's like this article about it. And there's a picture of Paul Pierce. So I see it. We kind of are, and like it's Kobe Bryant. Listen, it's 2008. We're all sitting there. Fucking Kobe Bryant sits down and pours a glass of wine. We're like, what the fuck, And then we look over, and he's tearing out the picture of Paul Pierce. So he cuts it out, and he folds it up. He puts it in his pocket. And like, we're all looking at him, you know, like what's going on? He's like, motivation. We're like, okay, cool. And then he proceeded to like chug his wine, pour another glass, chug it, pour the third. And he was like, basically like, he looks over and he's like, now I'm one ahead of you guys. We were like, okay. Like we didn't know we were racing. Like, cool. But like, I think those two things like back to back, I was like, oh, that's who he is. Like, that's what this is, you know? It was funny.
That is great. That is such a great story. So when I hear those stories about Kobe, and I hear them from so many people, I'm like, yo, was he really like, was some of it performance art? Like some of it was like, I've gotta live up to this reputation. Like, who does that? Could he have not torn that piece of paper out in his own room and put it in his pocket? He wanted someone to know.
Yeah, right, exactly. And obviously we were all like playing, but not, we were like side-eyeing, like, what?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the music equivalent is like Prince. It seems like it's like everybody has a Prince story. Everyone has a Kobe story.
I just love the fact that he comes in the room. They're trying to relax, have a nice slow night, and he takes it upon himself to turn it into a wine chugging contest. Like, what the fuck? Like, who does that?
You're supposed to sip this.
I know.
What was your first welcome to the NBA moment on the court? Was there somebody you played against very early on where you were kind of like, either I can't believe I'm here, or they locked you up, or they scored on you or something, you were like, okay, yeah, this is different?
Man, I love telling this story. I'm not gonna lie. Man, we were in Portland. We're playing Dame. I think Dame had the start of the game. I'm guarding him. They're like, "You're gonna guard Dame. Accept the challenge." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Let's do it." So we're out there, and I'm just like in awe. Like, Dame, literally, wow. So I'm still in awe through maybe the whole first quarter. I'm in awe. This dude pulls up, deep ball, 3, come down, foul on me, and 1. Look up, deep ball, 3, another one. Just back. It felt like it was just all out, and I was on this island by myself. Like no one was there to help. Kobe, they call timeout. Kobe looks at me. He's like, "What you want the motherfucker to have 50?" And I'm like, I don't even know what I was just like, one of those. Kobe goes out and guards him. This is when I saw. First of all, that was my welcome to NBA moment. Just Dame fucking having, I don't know what he had. But then seeing Kobe guard him and just beat him up, basically. Like, they weren't letting Kobe foul out of that game, 1. And he just beat him up. He probably had 50 on me, and in his game was probably 50. Like just Kobe he shut it down. But I watched the refs kind of let Kobe beat the shit out of him to do it. And I was just like, man, that's just reputation, 1. And then 2, like, damn, refs really control the game. I hope I'm fine from saying that, but they control the game, So it was just that was just cool to see that. That was my first year for sure.
Coach, do you have any favorite Kobe stories?
Yeah, a number of them. The best one, or one of the best ones, was when we were starting to build a culture at USA Basketball. And he, Chauncey Billups, and Jason Kidd were added to add veteran leadership to LeBron and Carmelo and those guys who were great guys. And so we're getting ready to get ready for Beijing. And so I'm with my staff in Vegas a couple days before the team comes in, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. It's 2 days early, and it's Kobe. He said, "Coach, can I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "Certainly." So we went to a private room, and I said, "What do you need?" He said, I need to ask you a favor." And I said, "Yeah, what is it?" And he said, "I want to guard the best perimeter player on every team that we play." Now, he's the NBA scoring champ. He's the best player in the league at that time. He had 7 50-point games that year. and he knew that he would have to change a little bit and be a leader. But he says, I want to guard the best perimeter player. And then he pauses, and his eyes. He and Jordan had the same eyes. They killed you with their eyes. And he leans forward, and he said, "Coach, I promise you, I'll destroy him." I got, holy shit. I said, "This is good." So we go and we have a team meeting. In the first practice, he doesn't take a shot. He does not take one shot. And he's playing defense. And so I call him over afterwards. I said, yo, this destroy thing. He says, "Coach, I promised you I'll destroy him." I said, "Look, I've seen you destroy teams offensively. Will you shoot the frickin' ball?" And he smiled, he had that smile. And he said from then on, I was the only coach ever to ask him to shoot. And you know what he was doing, JJ? He had this vision of moments. He knew that for us to win the gold medal, we would have to beat Argentina, whether it be in a semis or the gold medal game, and that he wanted to guard Ginobili. Believe me, he already had that figured out, and he was going to prepare to guard Ginobili. It wasn't just to set an example for his team. He had that vision. Crazy. So we do play Argentina in the semis, and we're beating them by 20 points, and Ginobili gets hurt. So now you think we're going to win by 40, and it becomes a 6-point game because now he's not interested anymore. That's who he is. That's who he was. God bless him. And I love the guy. And he and LeBron developed a relationship that was needed to create the culture. And they did. I'm so proud of LeBron for doing that. And obviously I was very proud of Kobe for doing it.
When you got to work with him the summer, was that the summer before your second year?
Yeah, that was after my rookie year. Yeah.
Yeah. Take us through that process, what that was like. You seem giddy about it in everything that I've read.
Yeah. So it started back when we were in the playoffs. Kobe was doing a detailed documentary thing on ESPN, and we're playing Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. We just played game 1. So we got practice the next day, getting ready for game 2. Come back, sit down in my locker, look at my phone, and he would tweet it. He would tweet the link out, and I saw Kobe tweeted me. I'm like, oh shit. I literally sat there and watched it like 20 times in a row. He did a detail on me in game 1. And then I guess he went through my agent. He texted me, said, "Young fella, happy for your success. Stay focused, keep going. Whenever, if you're in LA this summer, you want to work out, just let me know." I was like, I can't believe it. So then I text him, I'm like, "All right, I appreciate everything. We'll do." Fast forward, I go out to LA that's where I work out with Drew. As soon as the plane landed, I text Kobe. This was probably maybe a month later, 6 weeks. I'm like, "What's up, Kobe? I'm out here in LA. I'll be out here for a few weeks. Hopefully we can still get in the gym together." They say this was Monday at like, I don't know, 12 in the afternoon. He didn't text me back to like Saturday at like Saturday afternoon. So if he texts me back Saturday at like 4, I text him back at 4:01. So then we met like twice at his office. We met like twice, got to talk to him. He showed me around his office, and he was obviously working on books and stuff like that. So we worked out about a week after that. And it was just a surreal moment because just looking at him, remembering myself when I was a toddler, just a young kid, watching him on TV and be like, that's who I want to be like. Like, this is why I love basketball, because he inspired me. Fast forward, now I'm 20 and I'm having a one-on-one interaction with him, working out on, like, I'm here working out with you because you inspired me without even knowing, like, easily. I mean, besides my son being born, that's like the best day of my life, just to be in the gym with him and work out with him and learn some tips was just like, I'll never forget that day, how I felt going into the workout, how I felt afterwards. I just felt like that was just like the coolest thing ever for me. And like, I'll never forget that.
We should also mention you had Dirk for, what was it, 19 years, 20 years, 21 years?
21 years.
21 years, 21 years. And that, I mean, if you have a star level player and
But look around the league. How many people have traded those star level players?
Well, that's what I was. Did you ever come close to trading him?
No. So we had one deal. I thought we had traded for Kobe, and I thought we had a deal for Josh Howard, Jason Terry, and a couple firsts. And I had worked it out with Jerry Buss with the Lakers, and we had agreed upon it. And Dirk calls me and goes, "Look, if you need to trade me for Kobe, I would make that deal in a heartbeat." And I'm like, "No, that's not going to happen." But it obviously fell apart. Mitch Kupchak, I think it was, called Kobe and said, "Don't do it." Or Jerry West called Kobe and said, "You can't do this," and da-da-da. So that he killed the deal.
This was 07?
2007, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's when he was like maybe going to go to the Bulls too. I think there was like a
yeah. He was talking about it, but yeah, he demanded a trade, and we had worked it out, and he was ready to come to us.
Do you have a favorite Kobe memory or Kobe story?
Yeah, I mean, we would text every now and then, and talking, when he was getting ready to retire, talking business and saying, "Okay, now you're on my turf. I'm gonna have to kick your ass and show you what it's all about, rookie," and shit like that, and text, and talking trash with him. So yeah, that was my favorite Kobe memory. On the court, it was a game we had against them where he hit a turnaround three left-handed right in front of us, and I stood up and gave him a standing ovation for hitting that three.
When I got to play USA basketball for a couple summers very early on in my career, Kobe asked to shoot with me after practice one day. Like, he asked me to shoot with him. I'm like, yeah, for sure, man.
Right.
Let's do it. And he's encouraging me. He's talking to me. We're going through some shooting drills, just me and him. It was, like you said, it was surreal. And then I realized, like 10, 15 minutes into it, I'm like, this guy's actually like watching how I shoot the ball. And then he's asking me questions. He's actually trying to learn something from me. Like, Kobe never passed down an opportunity to get better. That I still remember that so vividly. Like, halfway into it, just being like, "Oh, wait a minute. I thought I was watching him, but it's actually the other way around."
Watching you, right?
I think for me, man, when I got into the league, obviously Michael Jordan is my favorite player of all time. But for me, when I got into the league, Kobe Bryant was the bar. He was the greatest player in the game to me before I got in the league, but definitely when I got there. I mean, he was someone, I think he was 24 years old at the time when I got in. He had 3 NBA championships already. You know what I mean? And when you want to talk about the swagger, oof. I mean, Kobe had it. But as a competitor, I knew that Kobe was the one for me that I had. If I wanted to be great, that I had to get on the level of Kobe Bryant. However I did that, I knew I had to get on his level or be respected by him in some way where he looked at me as equal. So it pushed me, and he pushed me. And we didn't talk a lot early on, but I feel like when we got to around 08 in the Olympics is when we got close, and it all started from training. Like, I think once you get around guys and you really see who they are and what they're built of, because you're around them for 2-3 months, and Kobe saw that my grind was very similar to his grind, and that me and him did a lot of things where it was just me and him, and it wasn't no one else around, and so he started respecting me in a way that I already had respect for him in. And then he just became like a big brother, during the Olympics. His knowledge of the game, even though I was a great player, Kobe had knowledge of the game that I didn't have. And so he became a person that I would go to and just, "Hey, what should I do on this play? Hey, how should I do this?" And he kind of like, he came to me and said, "Listen, when he heard that I wasn't starting, And he knew that, I'm sure he knew that, man, you know, I know this is tough for D-Wade not to be starting on this team. But he came to me right away and he eased my mind. He was like, listen, when you get in a game and it's me and you on the floor, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up 94 feet. I'm going to turn these guys. And once I turn them, you do what you do. You come in, you know. And so I got so many steals and so many dunks and so much because of the unselfishness of a star in our league to tell me, hey, I'm going to do these things. And all you got to do is, you know. So we just built a relationship. And that relationship went from respect as competitors to now where I felt like he was a friend. And it eventually grew into just a brotherhood. And our relationship was something that I'm sure so many people have their own relationships with him. But my relationship with him, for me, was special because this is a person who, you know, it was Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and Kobe Bryant. These are my favorite players to ever play the game of basketball. And I had a real relationship with one of those three for sure. And obviously when I retired, you know, and I, you know, you just imagine like, okay, we're going to be those two old guys that, you know, that go to games and when the Heat play to LA and we're going to be on opposite sides. And, you know, it's just going to be that kind of thing. You see it coming and not to have that, you know, not to be retired and have somebody that I can chase after still because he was doing amazing things after the game of basketball. You know, you feel a little lost. And I said that when Kobe retired, I said, you know what, when Kobe retired from basketball, I didn't have no one to chase anymore. I kind of lost a little bit of something in me when Kobe retired because it was like, well, who am I chasing now? You know what I mean? Who is that big matchup for me? Because yeah, it's just the younger guys coming up and you want to make sure, but I felt like Kobe was the only one that was on the level that I was on as one of the top two guards. And even though I felt he was on a higher level than me, but I still was able to chase him. And I didn't have anybody to chase no more. So it was kind of like, okay. All right, we're playing in Sacramento on a Wednesday. All right, let me just go get this done. You know what I mean? It was just different. So, you know, I definitely, I'm thankful that I was able to have a friendship and that we had a brotherhood and we shared something intimate that a lot of people didn't know, you know, from our conversations that we had and the moments we had together.